Katie, Karen Burchill here. Welcome to my channel. And today we have an art journal tutorial for you. This one's great for beginners. So I'm working in my 7 by 10 Canson mixed media journal. It says it's rough, but I've bought the smooth ones, and actually I prefer the smooth. So I have a whole bunch of these pages that are pre-gessoed, and I've just taped off the edge because I don't want all the paint to get in. And I'm going to be using 4 colors. There's turquoise, Prussian blue, dioxazine purple, and white. Oh yeah, I add a little gold later on, but so I'm just going to start and I'm going to put these colors on the page, kind of blocking it out. I recently did a door hanger and I used these colors and I really liked how they played together. And so I thought, okay, I want to play with them again. And so sometimes when you discover a color scheme or a group of colors that you work together, it's kind of a nice surprise, and I'd like to keep track of those. So I'm not really mixing this too terribly much. I'm not trying to blend the colors. I just want all over coverage. And I'm not even going to be too picky about that because I know I'm going to come in with a few stencils and stencil on top. And so any imperfections or misplaces are going to be stenciled. There's going to be lots of pattern that I'm going to be adding. I've been really busy doing stuff for the craft fair, and I just wanted to play in my art journal. And for me, when I create my art journal, it is all about just relaxing and having fun, not overthinking it. So it was like, okay, I'm going to go with these colors that I discovered that I like, and I'm going to use what is sitting on my table. I just want to have fun. And really, this page took all of under 25 minutes. I'm just mixing it in. Now, if it's getting too blendy, what you can do is just stop, let it dry, and then come back. And then even the light blue, the turquoise paint there, you can go on top of a darker color. This stencil is from the Crafter's Workshop, and it's scroll work. It's a new one to me, and I like different parts of this, and I'm just going to come in and stencil with white. Now, I was just impatient and I did not let it dry, so a lot of this turned a very light blue, and that's okay. But if you want it more stark white, take the time to let it dry or use a heat tool. I just kind of wanted some of this pattern all over. And I find when I have colors in the background, if I put a layer, if I stencil with white, using a stencil that has a lot of open space like this one, it gives a good background. I'm just getting it in different places, some more, some less. I'm really working on the not thinking, just having fun. So this one is called Butterfly Reflections, and it's another one that's just recently new to me, and it has some really interesting patterns on here. There's the crosshatch on the bottom, and then there's the chicken wire one up at the top. And I love stencils like this because then you've got the butterfly that you can use in that circle. I'm going to have to use on a bigger art journal page or canvas. So here I'm coming in with some of the blue, and I'm stenciling with this chicken wire part. And it's faint, but it's there. Not all of it needs to be stark. And I'm sticking to the same 4 colors. I'm not going to introduce any new color. And I'm going right on top of the scrollwork stencil as well. So I did stop and give that a dry, and unfortunately it was off camera. I came back and I did some white on there, and then I grabbed this native star stencil and I did some of that with Prussian blue. You really can't see much of that, but it's there. Now, lately I've been seeing a lot of people doing art journal and canvas with kind of frond. So I took some time and I cut my own frond stencil. So I've got a mask and a stencil. This I cut out of acetate, and I believe I use my Silhouette Cameo to cut it out. I just drew something that I liked and scanned it into my Silhouette and then cut this out. And it's been sitting here on my desk for a couple months. And I thought, I just need to use this. So I wanted to use the flip of that, so I'm wiping off the paint, and I'm just going in with white. So I'm really liking this frond, and so I decide that I'm going to use the mask part of it and stencil around the mask. So what you're going to see is it's kind of like negative painting. You're going to see the frond in the background colors, and it'll be outlined by this halo, this dark shaded halo. Well, that's what I was expecting. So again, this is something that I've seen people doing, and I really like how theirs ended up, so that's why I'm attempting it. But as with many things, when you're trying something new, it doesn't quite go according to plan. And so it may not work exactly how you think it's going to work, or it may require some practice. So I just leave that there and I decide, I'm just going to go and stencil more of these fronds with my white paint. And I'm using a makeup sponge, and the key with stenciling is to dab off the paint so that the paint isn't wet on the sponge. So I'm just adding a little bit more to make it a little more opaque. Now I cut out this frond stencil with my Silhouette Cameo. I drew it, scanned it in, cut it out on acetate. But you can cut this out with an X-Acto knife on your own. So you can draw it, put it underneath the acetate, and then use an X-Acto knife and cut it out. It's not precise. And so it's a perfect kind of stencil to create your own. So again, I'm kind of thinking, and do I want it more opaque, more stark white? And yes, I do. Maybe I should do a page with using the mask, do a background and just use the mask part, and then we can compare. So I decide I'm going to put a butterfly on these fronds, and I'm auditioning the two butterflies. I'm undecided. So what I often do is take a picture of each, and that allows me to see it kind of afar. So here's the one with the dark pink, and I like the contrast here. And here's the one with the white, and I like the lightness of this one. Which one would you choose? I chose the lighter one, mainly because I would normally have picked the darker one, and I just wanted to do something different, try something new. And sometimes you just have to do that for yourself. Then I looked on my desk and I found the sentiment, believe in the possibilities. So I wanted these fronds to stand out from each other, so you kind of get that layered look, and from the background. So I grabbed my woodless charcoal pencil, and I will put a link to the ones that I found on Amazon. I bought these at Michael's, but they're really inexpensive, and for shading, you can't go wrong. And what I'm using here is I am using a blending stumps or Totolon. And I absolutely love this. It lets you get really close to the edge it also gives you a little more control than if you were just rubbing with your finger, which is what I would do, or if you were using water to activate a Stabilo oil pencil. You, of course, can use the floating acrylic technique as well. I just figured this was going to be faster. And again, I just like to mix it up and give you guys options. So I'm shading around the outside edge, same thing. And taking off the tape, and you have this nice clean edge. Now, because I have the charcoal on there and I don't want the charcoal on the butterfly, I'm putting the matte medium on the back off to the side and not directly onto the page. And then I'm being very careful as I put a coat of matte medium on the top. And I do the same thing when I put on the sentiment. So after I dry it, I decide that the butterfly needs to be shaded as well. So I grab my woodless charcoal pencil and I give it a little bit of a sharpen. You can just use a regular sharpener. Sharpen it to get a point. Now I'm using the heat tool there not because of the charcoal, but because the matte medium wasn't quite dry, because I was just impatient. The blending stump allows you to get into those little nooks and crannies. I can't remember who I saw using the blending stump in this way, but it was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I ever think of that? So I believe off to the side, I am watering down some white paint and I am doing some splatters on here, and then I splatter with gold. Now I have gold in a little container that is diluted with water that I use for splattering. So it's really easy to grab and splatter whenever I need that little bit of splatter of gold. And I chose to put the gold on there because on the top of the butterfly there is a little bit of that yellowish gold color and I wanted it to go. Thank you so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, share with your creative friends. Bye for now.